So many thanks for this invitation, and I will try to spend the remaining time of my slot just to give you some short update on the basis of recent archaeology researches, underwater archaeology researches from the Bay of Naples in southern Italy, and especially from the submerged harbors lying in the Bay of Naples. Probably you know that in the Roman times, and especially in the late Republican times and in the imperial ages, the Gulf of Naples was characterized by the presence of very important harbors, military harbors, like the military bases of Misenum, that was the biggest military basis for the Western fleet, for Western Mediterranean, and the commercial hub of Puteoli, now Pozzuoli, a few kilometers west of Naples, where it was based the big part of trade, of maritime trade during late Republican time, in a very big harbor that continued to work also after the opening of the commercial harbors of Rome, in Ostia, and in Portus at the mouth of the Tiber. I was telling that we have a very big number of ancient sources talking about presenting the activities of the harbor of Puteoli as Portus Annonarius, so the harbor where all the trading goods directed to Rome arrived. And we have a lot of interesting sources, like, for example, these glass flasks. We know more than 10 of these artifacts with the depiction of the harbor. But the important thing is that we have a very long series of underwater structures, of underwater ruins on a strip of kilometers in the Gulf of Puteoli that now are lying underwater because of the Bratysism, because of the volcanic movements of this territory west of Naples. We have a very big complexes like the Portus Julius that we are starting now to understand better. It was one of the important part of the harbor of Puteoli. It was at the beginning the military base created in 37 before Christ by Agrippa for the purposes of Augustus, for the needs of the war against the pirates, and after a while it was converted in a part of the commercial harbor. But we have also a long series of structures between Portus Julius and the modern city of Puteoli, where we have important artifacts, important walls, important structures, and very few knowledge about that. So we started to make new researches. Of course, there is now a very long list of active projects in this territory because of the importance of Baie, that is very close, like a fantastic place for underwater archaeology activities, but also with different research groups working on the harbor of Puteoli. And it is obviously something that we as archaeologists need to do, not only in order to have a better knowledge of the past, but for sure in order to have a better instruments and tools to enhance the protection of a territory that is it is under the pressure of a very big and populated area like the area of Puteoli and Naples, or Pozzuoli and Naples. So I started some years ago making surveys under a modern concrete pier in the Bay of Puteoli and documenting the structures underwater. And the nice thing is that we can see that in the part of territory of coast that is included between Portus Julius and the biggest part of the port of Pozzuoli, we have very big embankments like that one that you can see in the picture with the diver, very big embankments in concrete that can mark the limit of the ancient coastline, and that can offer us the possibility of understanding the functioning of the ancient harbor as a basis, a very long series of embankments with piers, with a lot of piers. Actually, we know that the important landmark of the harbor of Puteoli was the big pier, 312 meters long, built in the Imperial Age, that was known as the Bridge of Caligula. But we can see, thanks to this new investigation, that probably there was a very long series of small piers, probably wooden piers, giving us a continuous sea stretch with commercial activities. On the other part of the harbor, I started to make underwater researches and aerial researches using a drone, a very cheap commercial drone, documenting all this little cube that you can see, these square structures that actually are the Pilae. It means it's the basic brick, if you want, of the pier system that was typical of the Phlegrean region, but that was exported all over the Mediterranean using the characteristics of the volcanic ash that was easy to find in the Phlegrean region, as we know from the ancient sources, and especially from Vitruvius. There is like 65 piers like this one, and it's not just a pier like something for the approach of ship, but better, it is a system of breakwater, different breakwaters with 10 piers or 12 piers or 14 piers, protecting the ancient coastline from the exposed side, on the exposed sides to the winds. These piers are now the subject also of a new geoarchaeological research that I'm making together with the geologic group of the University of Naples Partenope, because this kind of structure that were conceived to be on the limit between the sea and the exposed part and the air are very important as markers for the ancient sea level change. And for us, it is very important to know the sea level change in the past in this region because of the volcanic movements that are changing completely the coastline. The same thing, we are doing the same thing also on the shorter private piers on Pilae that were built on the maritime villas present on the coastline of the Phlegrean region, and also in the little island of Nesis, Nisida, the smallest island on the Gulf of Naples, where we've seen different piers from the historical sources, and also with optoacoustic instruments, with a side-scan sonar, with a multi-beam, we're using a marine drone equipped with different sensors, giving us the possibility to better understand this island that was actually probably a part of a unique property, a huge island belonging to one person, probably Brutus, the killer of Caesar, or better, Lucullus, the general of the Roman army that was known for having been the owner of at least 3 gigantic villas in the Bay of Naples, probably 1 in Naples and 2 in the Phlegrean region. So the entire island, the entire volcanic island, was probably a big villa equipped with maritime structure like fish pond and like vivaria for the fish breeding, and with a private harbor. In conclusion, we can join all this data, we can merge all this data, and we can see how in this part of the Gulf of Naples, in the western part of the Gulf of Naples, it means in the Gulf of Pozzuoli, the Gulf of Puteoli, there was a real proliferation, a real abundance of private and public port structures. I just highlighted this in yellow, the commercial part, in red, the military part, and in green, the private harbors connected with the presence of maritime villas. The blue one is a part that we are not able to understand because of the presence of modern factories and industries on the territory. That was the situation at the moment of the creation of Portus Julius in 37 before Christ, but we know that after a few decades, the situation changed, like in this slide, and we have a very long commercial sector gravitating around the port of Puteoli, long strips of coast populated with maritime luxury villas, and a military harbor that took advantage of the presence of, again, volcanic craters to have different basins and to host the military fleet of Western Mediterranean. And that was all for this short update. Sorry for the connection problems, and I'm here and I'm available by mail for any doubts, suggestions, or anything. Thank you.
Thank you for Stefanile and have a nice day. Thank you.